first things first, the press conference. President Biden put out some major sanctions on all Russian banks, every one of them, over $1 trillion of assets, every Russian businesses that are linked to U.S., anything from Russia that's doing business in U.S., all the accounts have frozen here. The market in Russia tanked 45% just yesterday. That's nearly $250 million the market lost in a day. Gas prices are going up because a lot of the world, we're not pumping our own gas right now. We're not fracking as much as we could. We're relying on other places. This is why you're seeing gas prices going up, even though President Biden is saying he doesn't want the gas companies and oil companies to exploit this opportunity. It's not about that. Gas prices are going to go up. These people that are running small gas stations, it's a small business owner. It's not like they're billionaires, millionaires. They're just trying to make 8 cents on a dollar. They're making, whatever the numbers is. But the markets felt it. In Russia, videos are being shown with people that are protesting outside, and Russian police is coming immediately arresting these guys. In some of the places, they can't even get them because there's so many people out there saying, stop this whole mess. We don't need to be doing this. It's not looking pretty, but Putin's planned this for quite some time. I've been saying gas prices are about to go to $10 in California for a while. It's going to get there. It's already at $6. We have a bunch of people here with us that are from California talking about how they're feeling immediate gas prices as of yesterday. On top of that, for quite like a while, weeks, maybe a couple months, Russia's been right around the border and everybody's saying, what are you doing? NATO just had a meeting at Geneva saying, hey, why are you over here? Oh, nothing. It's just regular training. You can do the you're pretty big. You can do your training everywhere, anywhere. Why are you doing your training right on the border and you're building hospitals and you're moving 100,000 troops? All of a sudden, 125,000 troops, then 150,000 troops, and now over 175,000 troops. Blood, they got everything prepared that in case something were to happen, move blood supplies, hospitals, everybody's ready for that. I think Russian Air Force, one of the units, the airborne unit, took over a small airport that's right by Kiev because they have a whole strategy on what they want to do with the capital. They know they don't have a lot of time. It's not like this is going to be a 6-month war or a 3-month war. They have a small window that Putin's trying to capitalize. And we're going to see whether this is going to be taking place or not. Over 40 people have already been killed. One Ukrainian plane was shot down with 5 people that were killed. This just happened. And, for some people that are wondering, like, who is Ukraine? What is the big deal with Ukraine? Why is Ukraine so important? Is it that important of a country? I'm in US. I'm in Texas. I thought Texas was big. I thought New York was big. Why is everybody, going crazy over Ukraine? What supplies does Ukraine have? So there's a couple different arguments here. One of the arguments is the fact that, this is Putin's ex, because Putin wrote about this, how when Soviet Union fell in 1991 and when it collapsed, at that time, Ukraine became its own country, Russia became its own country. And, this is during Cold War. And Ukraine became independent. And at that time, when Ukraine became independent, people have to realize Ukraine inherited most of Soviet Union's nuclear power. This is what a lot of people don't know. They inherited most of the nuclear power. Let me give you some stats so you know how much this was. 176 intercontinental ballistic missiles, 1,249 numeral warheads, 44 strategic bombers, 700 nuclear-tipped cruise missiles, 2,000 tactical weapons. All of this went to Ukraine. And Ukraine at the time, the leader that they had wasn't somebody that, he was a pretty strong personality himself. And Russia comes in and negotiates in 1994. They gave all those weapons up to Russia. So think about this. Majority of those weapons were given up to Russia in exchange for negotiation. Russia promised them guaranteed security. We're never going to mess with you. We're going to respect Ukraine's sovereignty. All this stuff is going on right now. While this is taking place, a few things happened. They signed the Budapest Agreement. Let's kind of try to make this work. Let's be peaceful. Let's not make anything happen. The original signers, I think, was US, UK, I want to say Belarus and, Kazakhstan. So they signed it. Let's make this work. Right afterwards, in around 2013, the leader of Ukraine was Viktor Yanukovych, who was a puppet to Putin, and he was more pro-Russia than pro-Ukraine, which kind of helped out. He was a corrupt guy, heavy-handed, pro-Moscow. And during that time, while this is taking place, 2013, he, the leader, rejected an EU deal. So the EU comes in and says, hey, let's make this work. Let's kind of come together. Come join NATO. Come join EU. We're going to give you an offer. He rejected the deal, but took $15 billion bailout from Russia, Putin. Okay. So this is a guy that was, for Russia, even though he's running Ukraine. Anyways, eventually he's replaced by the current PM, the current president. He leaves, he goes to Russia. Some people didn't want him to leave. Some people wanted him to leave. So that's one part of the argument, that to Putin is like, Ukraine's been part of Soviet Union for the longest time. There's no way I'm going to give up my ex. There's no way I'm going to let my ex go marry somebody else. And if my ex, she marries NATO or she marries EU, there's no way I'm going to let that happen. So Putin's made some demands to NATO. And here's his demands. You ready? Crazy demands, by the way. Number one, his demand was for NATO to stop expanding. That's the number one demand. Mm-hmm. Number two,
I believe they're up to 30 countries right now.
Troops from Eastern Europe, which is just not going to happen. Withdraw from all troops from Eastern Europe. And number three, for America to vow not to protect their allies with nuclear weapons. For America to vow not to protect their Eastern European allies with weapons, right? Where they are. So all of this stuff he's asking. So he wants them to come back. He wants to move quickly in Kiev. He wants to replace with a new leader. But this is the one part most people also don't realize, what Ukraine has. Let me give you some of the rankings of what Ukraine has. In regards to size, there's 604,000 square kilometers. So it's pretty good size. I think it's 44 million in population. And I want to say their gross domestic produce, I think their GDP is around $250 million, where $156 billion is their GDP. That's where they are, 156. Good size population, 44 million, relatively good size.